This is Sean Radcliff. Welcome to another episode of Preservation Oaks. In this series, we introduce you to professionals from museums, cultural, genealogical, and historical societies across the United States. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. Good day, everyone. Thanks for being here. We have an interesting program today. In this episode, we welcome Ms. Megan Smith, a leader in fundraising and social media at the Fighting Falcon Military Museum in Greenville, Michigan. The museum is devoted to educating the public about the individuals, machinery, and personal histories associated with United States military engagements. It emphasizes the stories of local men and women from Greenville, Michigan, and nearby areas. Amid the displays of uniforms, weapons, and equipment, you'll find the personal accounts of those who have served. By the end of this episode, you'll be inspired to support their mission to preserve and protect Greenville's historic legacy through education and preservation. I'm Sean Radcliff, and I'm coming to you from Salt Lake City, and this is Preservation Oaks, the original talk program on MicroStream Radio, where we feature information about museums, cultural and heritage institutions, associations, historical and genealogical societies, and history-focused media creators across the United States. By the way, our main platform is preservationoaks.podbean.com. But you can find us on nearly all podcast platforms, as well as Rumble, Getter, Minds, TikTok, Facebook, Odyssey, and YouTube. So wherever you listen to the program, I appreciate it very much when you like, comment, follow, or subscribe. If you're interested in being a guest on our program, or if you have questions or comments about the program, please feel free to email us at preservationoaks@gmail.com. Hey, a big shout out to all of you who've been spreading the word about our program. Your support means the world to us. By helping us reach more people, you're shining a spotlight on the incredible heroes of Preservation Oaks and giving them the recognition they truly deserve. So thanks for being awesome. Unlike a lot of podcasts out there, we don't ask for money from our listeners. No, we do this because we love showcasing the amazing work of organizations who are our Preservation Oaks. These folks are the real-life heroes dedicating themselves to protecting and preserving our history every single day. Our Preservation Oak organizations and the people who volunteer and operate them are the superheroes of our nation, working tirelessly to safeguard our heritage and make sure future generations can learn from the past. And guess what? You can be a hero too, just by sharing our program and helping it grow. You're joining the mission to support these incredible efforts. So let's keep the momentum going. Spread the word, support your local society or museum, and together we can make sure our rich heritage is preserved for generations to come. Thank you for being part of this amazing journey. Now let me tell you about our next episode of Preservation Oaks. We're going to hang out with some awesome ladies from the Copper Range Historical Society in South Range, Michigan. We'll meet Jean Pemberton, Janet Coco, and Donna Lau, who run the Copper Range Historical Museum. South Range is a cool town in Houghton County, right in Michigan's stunning Upper Peninsula. It's been around since 1902 and has about 750 friendly folks. The Copper Range Historical Museum is a hidden gem on the main street run by an all-volunteer team that helps preserve the area's rich history. I've been excited about this episode because we're going to dive into the stories and treasures of the Society and Museum. Trust me, it's going to be a great one, so don't miss it. All right, that being said, let's get this show snapping. First, let's drink some tea, some Twinings tea. I love Twinings tea. It's good tea. Now let's do a short bio of our guest, Ms. Megan Smith. Since 2022, Megan Smith has been a dedicated board member of the Fighting Falcon Military Museum team. With deep family ties to the museum, her great-grandfather was one of its founders. Megan's passion for history runs in her blood. She proudly traces her lineage back to an ancestor who signed both the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution, fueling her lifelong love for the past. Beyond her work at the museum, Megan is an avid photographer, capturing moments and stories through her lens. When she's not behind the camera, you'll find her immersed in a good book, exploring new worlds and ideas. All right? Welcome to the program, Megan. Hey, happy Independence Day.
Thanks, you too, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You got any plans for Independence Day there in Michigan?
I think I'm going to watch some fireworks, and I'm going to lay out in my pool.
All right.
Just kind of relax and just have an easy day. What about you?
That's nice. You got a pool. That's very nice.
It's going to be in the 80s over by me, so I'm quite excited about it.
Do you have a lot of fireworks where you're at?
Yes, down in downtown Grand Rapids, which isn't too far from where I live, the city puts on a massive program, and so it's just fireworks for a huge fireworks show. And then over by me, a lot of people do their own, like at their house. So I can kind of sit out on my porch and watch them all around me.
Wow, fantastic. I'm up on the benches of the mountains, and
okay.
So I can overlook Salt Lake City, and I see all the fireworks going up all around as well.
Oh, that would be really cool.
There's a lot of noise around here. And then here in Utah, we have another holiday towards the end of July called Pioneer Day. And that's another big firework day. So.
Oh, okay.
It's when the Mormons came into the valley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How long have they been doing that?
Oh, gosh. I think the first Pioneer Day was in July of about 1849, when the Saints celebrated the second anniversary of entering the Salt Lake Valley, with Brigham Young leading the way. So I want to ask you, the Fighting Falcon Museum is up in Greenville, which is north of Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
What interesting facts do you know about Greenville's founding?
So I know that John Green was a founder, and he settled in the southwest part in 1844, and that he, I believe, named it Green's Village. He constructed a sawmill on the Platte River, and that's credited for attracting a lot of other settlers. The Green's Village attracted many people of Danish origin, and because of the town's heritage, Greenville still celebrates to this day the Danish Festival. A post office was established in 1848 with Abel French as the first postmaster, and Green had the village platted in 1853. It was a station on the Detroit, Grand Rapids, and Western Railroad. And Greenville incorporated as a village in 1867 and as a city in 1871.
Wow, pretty early. Those Danish folks, they're really hardy folks.
Yes, they are.
Are there still Danish cultural or architectural influences in the city?
Yes, most definitely. So we have a Danish Cultural Center in Greenville, and we also have the Danish Festival, which not only has the festival every year, but the Danish Festival also does programs and events throughout the entire year with the community. I believe it's next month. They're having a breakfast outside, and so people can come and just eat breakfast outside, and there's going to be a little booth set up with local vendors, and so we're going to have a booth there. And so they're really big in the community and proudly displaying the Danish culture and heritage in Greenville still.
I don't know too much about Danish culture. All I know is that baked goods are called Danishes. So,
I'm mostly German, so I don't know a whole lot about Danish culture, but my goal is this year is to go down to the cultural center and actually learn more about it,
oh,
since
cool.
the museum does stuff with the festival and the programs that they do.
Yeah. All right. That's very cool. That Danish is very cool. Now, if you could choose to travel back in time to any period in Greenville's history, when would you choose that and why?
So I don't know if the term is biased that I want to use, but because of my family and my great grandpa, I would probably say I would want to go back to when Gibson Refrigerator in Greenville went from making refrigerators to gliders for the war. It's always really cool to be able to teach visitors about what Greenville had done in the past, but I feel like it would be even more amazing to watch it all happen before me.
Yeah. Just think if we had a war again, something like that. God forbid. I'll
Right.
say that right now. But think if we had to move the country, the entire country, to war production, and every business, every family, everybody had to contribute to war production. It would just be phenomenal. And to be able to see that and go back in history and witness that kind of a shift, you know,
Right.
that's amazing. I think you're right. That would be very interesting time in history.
Well, and because it took such a small amount of time frame. I mean, from them to just all of their workers going from making refrigerators to 6 months, half of a year to then building gliders and, you know, having contracts to build bombs and all of this. It's just amazing what they were able to do for their country in such a short amount of time.
Yeah. And you've got some of that equipment in your museum, right?
Yes, we do.
Wow. That's amazing. Now that
Yep.
refrigeration plant is no longer there. That company is no longer in Greenville, right?
I'm pretty positive Gibson is not around anymore. I think they left.
Yeah. What an effort. What an effort on everybody's part. But Michigan holds for me so far in my travels. Michigan has the award for, I mean, there's Rosie the Riveters everywhere in Michigan, and there's just war production like crazy in Michigan. Michigan has a proud heritage.
Yes, we do. I don't think there's a lot of people out there that necessarily know how deep Michigan roots go as far as what people have done in the past. So it's nice to be able to share with visitors and have them learn something that they didn't know before.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I love this podcast and talking to wonderful people like yourself is because, I learn so much about what really happened in history. And Greenville has a wonderful story. I mean, just magnificent effort on the part of Greenville and the museum and all of that happened back then and even today and the effort you're putting in today.
Mm-hmm. You look at small towns and you say, "Oh, I'm sure there's history there," but then you look at Greenville and you're like, "Wow, this is, you know, where Greenville's the birthplace of Meyer." And I don't know if you know what Meyer is, but it's a huge grocery chain in Michigan, and I know there's some in Illinois, but it's just massive. And it came from a little town of Greenville, and then obviously everything that they've done with the wars, but it's insane to think such a small town can make such a huge impact
Yeah.
throughout the world.
Now, the museum is called the Fighting Falcon Military Museum. It's in Greenville. Can you tell us about the museum's founding story?
All right, I can. So buckle up because it's a little bit of a long story.
Okay.
So in 1943, the students of Greenville Public Schools had decided they wanted to raise enough money to be able to purchase one of the Gibson made gliders. And after having enough money to purchase it, they're just going to turn around and give it to the military and say, this is our contribution. Well, in just 90 days, the students raised over $72,000. And that was enough to purchase 4 of the Gibson made gliders for the Army. In today's money, that's over $1.3 million that they made just from selling war bonds within the community. And in recognition of that, of their patriotic efforts, the War Department and the Treasury Department thought that this is just amazing that these kids could raise this amount of money in just 90 days. And they thought, hey, that's pretty good advertising to help get people to buy war bonds. So they told the class, hey, we're going to let you hold a contest and you can name that glider. And so they originally voted for it to be named the Flying Falcon, but the Gibson advertising department didn't think that that was like military enough. so they changed it to the Fighting Falcon. And it was a huge event in Greenville in May of 43. The students christened the glider the Fighting Falcon at a dedication ceremony, which basically had all of Greenville with, soldiers and generals. Everybody was there, and the students received a coveted Distinguished Service Award from the United States Treasury Department.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was the first time in history to be received by a group of school children. And then after the ceremony, it was disassembled and recreated at the Gibson factory and shipped overseas. It was the only glider during the war to have had a label. A lot of them had like nose art, but it was the only one with an actual label. And they said that the glider would be the first one to fly into Normandy on D-Day. But because of weather conditions and extra weight being added to the glider, landing got more difficult. And the Fighting Falcons skidded into a row of trees, and it left it a total wreck, incapable of ever being able to fly again, which that's what happened to about over half of them that went over there. But you fast forward to 1993, a group of school kids wanted to restore an authentic glider, Fighting Falcon glider. And they were able to contact a couple of people who had experience in creating gliders, and one of them was my great-grandpa, Bill Delp. So he and a group of guys got started working on the project. The school kids kind of found it to be very difficult to restore one between, their school schedule and just how technically difficult it is to create one. So they kind of dropped out on their own. And so my grandpa and his friends said, well, let's just keep restoring it. And they spent over 10 years recreating one, finding different parts throughout the world. And that's the glider that we have at the museum today. And they needed somewhere to put it. So they created the museum in 2004. And that's when we first opened, which brings us here today.
Oh my gosh. Do you think there's any gliders that have been restored anywhere else in the world?
There are a few. So I know there's a couple here in America, and there's a couple overseas. I actually know there's a group of guys over in France who are restoring one right now. But there's not a ton, and there's not all of them have the skin on the glider. A lot of them are open so you can see the mechanics. Ours is one of the few that we know of that has one side with the skin on it, and then the other side showing the technical aspects of the inside.
Wow, that is really cool. That's a great story.
Yeah, pretty amazing that they were. I just remember being a little kid and my grandpa putting me in the glider, because when I was younger, he was still working on it. So I got to sit in one of the seat buckets, and then he had an extra piece, and so he gave that to me. So that's hanging on our wall at home.
Not only that, but people really don't know the story and, the mission, I guess, the value that gliders brought to World War II.
Right.
And you guys helped tell that story.
Yeah. Yep. We try to make people aware.
Wow. And Greenville built those gliders.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So my grandpa he saw the blueprints when because he worked at Gibson, and he saw the blueprints of them being made. And we have photos of people from Gibson who have lived in Greenville their whole life working on it when they were younger. So they get to go back in and say, oh, look, that's me, at however old they were, and they can show their family. And it's a pretty special thing to witness.
Wow. That is very cool. Thank you for sharing that. That's really good. Really great.
Yeah, of course.
Now, the museum also focuses, from what I read, on Greenville specifically and the role that Greenville residents played in World War II and in war production. Now, what are some intriguing, lesser known stories from the Fighting Falcon Military Museum's history that your organization showcases?
So our main floor is all dedicated to World War II. So everything from the Pacific Theater, from ships and battles and you name it, we talk about it. And our upstairs, we have a room dedicated to every war. And within those rooms are stories from locals who had served that donated their items. The one that always stands out to me is it's a very small piece. I mean, we have pieces that are big and small that have been donated, but this one's really tiny. It's one of the soldiers was on a mission, and when he was over in Germany, he was actually able to take a piece of Adolf Hitler's countertop. It had broken off somehow, and so he kept it and he donated it to the museum. And that is just something that has always kind of stuck with me ever since the museum had first opened when I was little, just because you think, wow, you hear stories of people, as a kid, going after the bad guys and, you know, trying to help and fighting the war, but you never think, wow, someone from Greenville, Michigan was in the vicinity of Adolf Hitler and was able to take something back to America that was his. I mean, it just always has stuck with me.
That's awesome.
So, but if because of how small it is, if you're walking around and you're looking at the glider or the big display case that we have, you can kind of miss it. So I always like to point that out to people.
Yeah, good job. That's amazing. That's amazing. Wow, a very cool story. Thank you. I understand congratulations are in order for the museum celebrating its 20th anniversary this year on August 21st. That's great.
Yeah, thank you. It just seems like yesterday that my cousin and I were doing the ribbon cutting with our great grandpa. It's been 3 years since he's passed, but I think he would be pretty proud of what we've accomplished so far and what we plan to do for the future. It just doesn't seem like it's been 20 years.
Amazing. Greenville should be very proud of the museum and the work you're doing.
I hope so. That is our goal.
Have you got celebrations planned for August 21st?
So if nothing is set 100% in stone, but we have a meeting tonight and I'm going to talk to them about maybe doing our ribbon cutting for our memorial flag display that we just had built. We thought about maybe doing it on the day that the museum first opened. And we also, for the big 20th anniversary, we got a billboard and we put 20 years on it for people to see coming and going out of Greenville.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's really great. Is it digital or is it a paper kind of vinyl thing?
It's one of the paper vinyl ones.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Yeah, it's got the light blue sky background with like a little wispy clouds, and it has the glider flying in the air and has our name and the 20th off to the side. It's pretty interesting to see.
Great job. That'll be nice. So you've got a billboard and then you're going to have some kind of a ribbon cutting.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to have a ribbon cutting. I just don't know if we're going to do it on our the 20th anniversary date. I'll be able to find out tonight at our meeting if everyone's okay with that.
Now you were saying you just built a flag area?
Yeah, so it's like it has all of the military branches. It's not 100% complete yet. We're still waiting to get the electrical set up so that we can have the flag, American flag, lit up at night.
Yeah.
But yep, it's in a circle, and then in the center is a star to represent the Medal of Honor. And so yeah, we have every flag to display proudly.
Wow, that'll be great. Now, are you going to sell bricks for that area or anything like that?
So we've been kind of mulling over the idea of doing the little like plates that can go on. I don't know exactly what they're called, but I think they're just little nameplates that you can get that people would be able to purchase and putting those somewhere. Or we thought about doing just like a stone of some sort that says, dedicated to all the veterans. So that's another thing that we're kind of working out at our meetings. But a lot of people like the idea of being able to buy a plate in memory of somebody.
Yeah, that'll be excellent. Way to go.
Yeah. Thank you.
That'll be great for the neighborhood and great for the museum.
Yeah, I was up there last weekend and we were putting up the last flagpole, and someone had walked by and said, "Oh, it's finally going up. I'm so excited. I walk by here every day and I wondered, what was going on with it, when it's going to be done." So I think people are excited to see it finished.
Yeah, it's going to be very nice. Especially at night with it lit up, that's going to be real nice.
Yeah.
Now, Megan, I'd like to provide listeners with the contact information for the museum. The website is thefightingfalcon.com, and you can find them on Facebook at The Fighting Falcon. Just look for that. Their address is 516 West Cass Street, Greenville, Michigan, 48838, and you can phone them at 616-225-1940. The Fighting Falcon Museum is free to the public, so don't worry about paying. The museum is open Sundays from April to November from 2 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Private visits may be arranged by calling Jerry at 616-754-6991. They're located in Greenville, Michigan, only 20 minutes from US 131 and only 35 minutes from downtown Grand Rapids. A ramp is located on the side of the building for wheelchair access into the museum. They have an elevator that will take those who need it to the second floor of the museum. Restrooms are located on both floors. That all sound right?
It sounds fantastic.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. Can you kindly share with the audience the demographic makeup of your membership and the mission and objectives of your museum?
I would love to. So the people that mostly visit are veterans and family members who have had family donate, and people who love history, especially Michigan history. And our mission really is to help share veteran stories and teach people about America's wars and the impact that a community can make.
All right, fantastic. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your background, we read your bio in the introduction, and I'm just very curious. You have people in your family heritage that signed the Declaration of Independence and Constitution. Is that correct?
Yes. So on my dad's side, we're a descendant of George Reed, and he was from Delaware. And he signed both, like you said, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States.
Wow.
And we actually have a sword that we believed to be his son, and we also his son's sword. And we also have a single boot spur. And so my dad has had that with him his entire life. And he recently gave that to me. So I have it at my house. The boot spur, the sword he hasn't given up yet. He hasn't given that to me yet. But in the future, I'm going to have that as well.
I think that's fantastic. What a heritage. Wow.
I know. Yeah.
Wow. It's almost like you were destined to be at that museum and you were there at the founding of the country. Wow.
Yeah, it makes me proud. I'm a proud American, and I love our history, and so I really feel like being at the museum, I'm where I need to be.
Yeah, you should be proud. Great job. It's time for us to take a break for a few minutes. Thank you so much for being here. Yep. It is.
All right, sounds good.
All right, listeners, we'll be right back after these important messages.
Attention all history buffs and patriots. Have you ever wanted to step back in time and explore the rich military heritage of our great nation? Look no further than the Fighting Falcon Military Museum, located right in the heart of Greenville, Michigan. Dive into the stories of bravery and sacrifice as you wander through our exhibits showcasing the men and women who served our country with honor. From the American Civil War to the present day, the Fighting Falcon Museum offers a glimpse into the remarkable history of the United States military. And the best part? Admission is absolutely free. That's right, folks, thanks to generous donations from people like you, they're able to keep their doors open to the public. Come visit them on Sundays from April to November, between 2 p.m. and 4:30 p.m., for an unforgettable experience. Can't make it on Sundays? No problem. Call them at 616-754-6991 to arrange a private visit at your convenience. Located just 20 minutes from US 131 and a quick 35-minute drive from downtown Grand Rapids, the Fighting Falcon Military Museum is easily accessible to all. Plus, they've got you covered with wheelchair access and an elevator for those who need it. Don't miss out on this opportunity to honor our heroes and learn about our nation's history. Visit online at thefightingfalcon.com or follow them on Facebook at The Fighting Falcon for the latest updates and events. The Fighting Falcon Military Museum, where history comes to life. Plan your visit today and discover the stories that shaped our world and the story of Greenville, Michigan. Proudly serving Greenville, Michigan, and beyond.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? Whose broad stripes and bright stars, through the perilous fight, over the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave? On the shore dimly seen through the mists of the deep, where the foe's haughty host in dread silence reposes? What is that, which the breeze over the towering steep, as it fitfully blows, half conceals, half discloses? Now it catches the gleam of the morning's first beam, in full glory reflected now shines in the stream. It's the Star-Spangled Banner. Oh, long may it wave, over the land of the free and the home of the brave. And where is that band who so vauntingly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home and a country, should leave us no more? Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps' pollution. No refuge could save those who prayed to be saved from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the star-spangled banner in triumph doth wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave. Oh, thus be it ever, when free men shall stand between their loved home and war's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven-rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. Then conquer we must, when our cause it is just, and this be our motto, in God is our trust. And the star-spangled banner in triumph shall wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave.
This is Heather Moran, the president of the Camden-Rockport Historical Society. Happy Independence Day from Rockport, Maine.
This is Natasha Adams, the director of the Heritage Museum in Independence, Oregon. Happy Independence Day from the Heritage Museum.
Hey everyone, it's Sean Radcliff. Today we've got a special guest, Mrs. Megan Smith from the super cool Fighting Falcon Military Museum in Greenville, Michigan. Now let's dive into what the museum means to the community. Welcome back, Megan.
Thank you.
Now, what's coming up on the horizon for the museum? Are there any upcoming exhibitions or events that the community should look forward to?
Yeah, so we have our annual golf outing Friday, July 12th. And we're coming up with ideas to have events geared more towards bringing the community together and programs for kids, So this coming season and definitely next season, there's going to be a lot of different events to look forward to.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, you have an annual golf outing?
Yeah, that's coming up pretty quick, and I'm looking forward to it. Last year, we're doing it again this year, but we had this huge inflatable 5-foot rubber ducky that had the American flag logo on it with some sunglasses, and so I put it out at the Glen Cary golf course, which is where we have our golf outing. Put it out in the pond out there, and I said $5 if you can hit the duck with a golf ball, you'll get a certificate to go towards the silent auction. And everyone did their best to try to hit that duck, and no one could do it. So a lot of people this year have said, this is the year I'm going to hit the duck.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see how many people actually get to hit it, because when it's windy, it moves, because I only have it anchored down with a rope and a rock. So they'll hit the ball and then it will move on them. So I'm curious to see what happens with it.
I tell you, I'd try my best to hit it. No doubt about that. Now, what are some of the most memorable moments or experiences visitors have shared after visiting the museum?
There's not one specific one that comes to mind. More of it's collective comments from people who bring family in from out of state or bring younger family members in, that they said, I want to show my kid or my grandkid, aunt or uncle, I want to show them my husband's display or my dad's display. And they get to share with their family what had been donated. And that is something that is an experience I think most people really don't get to have. And that's the most common thing, is they leave the museum saying, I'm really glad I got to go see this. And, it's really nice to be able to look back at younger pictures. And I've had people who, couple of the kids who worked in 93 on the glider, there's pictures of them on the walls as kids. And then they come in later on with their family and they get to show them a picture of them as a kid working on it. And then they tell us, yeah, that was me. I'm right there. And I think that's probably the most memorable part people have talked about after visiting the museum.
Yeah, that's quite a legacy.
Yeah. And then apart from that, obviously, a lot of people are just amazed by looking at the glider and learning about how Greenville made them. That's probably the other big one.
Amazing. Now, is the Gibson plant still around?
No, not to my knowledge. I don't believe that the plant is still around anymore.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Now, I know you have, it's a military museum.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would think that there's like uniforms and things like that. But what kinds of exhibits are on display?
So we have a little bit of everything. From each war, you'll find uniforms, artifacts, guns, shells, people's stories, their pictures, stuff that they brought back from the war. I mean, you name it, and we probably have it somewhere in the museum. We've gotten a lot of stuff donated by people, and also obviously the glider. But
now, what do you mean by from each war? I thought this was World War II.
So our downstairs is dedicated to World War II. Our upstairs has rooms dedicated to each of the American wars. So we have a section of the Civil War, World War I, Spanish-American War, Vietnam, Korea, and also modern conflict.
Oh, wow. You've got a lot then. And people have donated stuff from like the Civil War?
Yeah, stuff that has been held on. We don't have, as far as the Civil War and like the Spanish-American War, we don't have a whole lot compared to World War II or even, World War I. But we do have stuff. We have utensils, we have little cannons, we have a drum. I mean, it's amazing what people will hold on to.
Yeah.
And see it in today's day and age.
Plus, they want it preserved, so they're going to donate it to the museum.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That makes it really interesting when people come in.
Yeah, we get a lot of people who have said, oh, I've been hanging on to this from my great-great-grandparent. And, it's, do you want something like this? And we'd be like, yeah, well, we'll take anything. Our goal is to get people's stories out there from the community. So we try to take in everything that we can and help share their story.
Now, do the exhibits rotate?
So what we do is, so every room that we have for the war stays that room, but we do have the different displays, and we'll bring in other people's displays of like their stories and uniforms, stuff that they may have brought over from different wars. So we'll try to change that out throughout the year, just so that people will want to come back and see more things, because we have more stuff that has been donated than what we have room. So we change stuff out and keep stuff rotating.
Cool. That's very cool. It's nice to go to a museum and they have things that you haven't seen and they bring them out, and it changes all the time. So when you become a member, you can look forward to that.
Right.
Very cool. I was interested, your website makes reference to the Smithsonian checking out the Fighting Falcon Military Museum. What's that all about?
So my great-grandpa told me when I was younger that the Smithsonian had stopped by to check out the glider and all of the artifacts that they had created for this museum. He didn't give me a whole lot of detail other than that, but that has always stuck with me ever since being little, because I would always think, oh, how cool. I mean, it's the Smithsonian. Like, that's top of the line. And so I put that on our website to say, if they think it's pretty cool to take the time to come out to check out the museum, I think you will too. So the fact that they decided to come out to a little town in Greenville, that has always stuck with me.
Yeah, that's really cool. All right, I ask this of every guest. If your building were to catch fire, what things would you grab on your way out?
Whoa. Well, if I was Superman, I would take the glider. But since I'm not, realistically, I would want to take a piece of something from every war. So I would want to take pieces of the glider that I could carry. Believe it or not, the glider itself, a lot of the parts are very, very thin pieces of wood. So I would take a piece of the glider. I would probably take, from the Spanish-American War era, we have a 45-star flag. I would take that. A wooden crossbow that we have from Vietnam.
Oh.
I would take one of the cannonballs from the Civil War. And in the World War I room, we have this poster, and it's made by the guy's last name is Christie, but he created this poster, and it has a woman dressed as a nurse and as of Lady Liberty, and it talks about helping out with the Red Cross and kind of doing your part. It's beautifully done. So I would say that is another thing that I would want to take. Oh boy. From the Korean room, we have a military CD/radio. I would probably take that. And from the modern conflict room, we have a piece of the Berlin Wall that I would want to take.
Oh, really? You do?
It's small, but yes, I would definitely want to take that.
Oh yeah.
We have it in a glass case of who. I don't remember the person who it was that donated it, but it was someone from Greenville. Their family had it.
Very important. Wow.
So I would take that.
Well, you've got a lot of cool stuff there.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Like I said, we have a little bit of everything.
No kidding. Hey, what kind of funding model supports the museum? You don't charge for admission, so what's your funding goals this year, and how do you get money in the door?
So we are donation based from the public. We don't receive any money from any sort of, state or federal, anything like that. It's solely by the people. So as long as the community and people believe that we are important and what we do is a good thing, then we'll keep running. One of our main funding goals is to raise money from the golf outing. That's our big fundraising event of the year.
Okay, fantastic. Everybody listening, donate, please. Donate to the Fighting Falcon Military Museum in Greenville, Michigan. It's very important. It's how they survive.
Yes, we would appreciate it.
Absolutely. I was reading you have something called Spring Into the Past. Is that also a fundraising activity?
It brings in more people. It's not our fundraising event. What it is something that the Tri-River Historical Museum Network puts on. And what it is it's local Tri-City museums in the area where we all get together and there's a theme. And so this year's theme was notable names. So a notable name from your town, and you'd kind of have like a little display about that person, and people plan their weekend around going to these different museums. There's a map that people can have, and it lays all of them out, so you could just check off as you go. But that brings in a lot of people, and there's a lot of people that will come from, different parts of the outer communities of Greenville that will come check us out.
Oh, very cool. So when they come into the museum, I know there's no admission fee, but can they donate at that time?
Oh, yes. Yep. Anytime someone comes in, we have a little donation box, and we also recently got PayPal, and we got a little credit card reader. So we're moving on up as far as that aspect of it.
And that's right in the museum, so that if somebody wants to donate, when they come in, they can do that.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what kind of outreach and education does the museum undertake within the community? Do you do any work with school children?
So we've had some guest speakers in the past come. Like last year, we had Robert Myers, and he's the director of education for the Historical Society of Michigan. He came and educated us and the people who attended on Harriet Quimby. We've also had the pleasure of doing tours for school kids. Last month, we had ninth graders come tour, a couple different classes of ninth graders. And so that we try to do stuff like that.
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures, I think, on your Facebook page with the kids coming.
Yeah.
Wonderful pictures. Yep.
I had someone message us through our Facebook who was there. I don't know if it was a teacher or if it was a parent, but they had sent some photos, and I was like, can I please use these on Facebook? And they're like, go ahead.
A lot of kids. A lot of kids came.
Yes, a lot of kids.
Yeah. I don't know how many schools are in Greenville, but this was a lot of kids.
It all was from the Greenville Public Schools system. So I want to say it was like maybe three different actual ninth grade classes that was able to go that day.
That's nice. Do you guys publish a newsletter at all?
Yes, we do have a newsletter, and usually we mail that out to people. And so if anyone would like to be a part of the newsletter, I just need their address, or if they really don't want another piece of mail being mailed to them, we can take down their email and we could convert it to like a PDF for them to view.
Okay, fantastic. So just contact you and sign up.
Yeah, yep. People can contact me through our website, or they can message through Facebook. I handle the Facebook, so either way they'll get to me.
Okay, fantastic. Does the museum have any strategy for digitization of documents and photos?
Yes. So starting last year, we have been going through the process of doing digital records, taking pictures of every individual item and then recording them so that it's just not on an Excel spreadsheet and it's not just the donation forms from people that we get in. But that has taken a lot of time, and I have put a very small dent in that.
How many artifacts are in the collection of the museum?
Thousands. Right now, I'm not even halfway done with the bottom floor, our World War II area, and I think I'm at 500 or 600. And so that's not even including upstairs. So I'm going to say thousands.
Plus, you've probably got an archive area with thousands more.
Yeah.
That are on the floor, right?
Yeah, we have our basement area is filled with different rooms of stuff that we have saved that we transition throughout the museum.
Wow. Well, good luck on getting that all done.
Thank you.
Now, in order to do that, I'm hoping that you're using volunteers in some way What kind of volunteer opportunities does the museum have for members and the public?
So right now, I mean, anyone that has a love of history or who wants to start learning can volunteer. We love adding to our team, and volunteers can help out with Sundays when we're open, and they can help out with programs like the school field trip and the golf outing and the other guest speakers and programs that we have set up. We're able to do those types of programs because we'll have volunteers to help out with that stuff. If we didn't have them, then we wouldn't be able to do it. We wouldn't have the manpower to do it.
Right. Are there any plans to open on other days besides Sundays?
Well, our goal is hopefully with getting our name out there more. We've been really working on that this year. And with the billboard, we're hoping that we'll be able to generate enough people visiting that we could also open up on a Saturday. That's one of the goals for the future.
Okay, fantastic. That would be great.
Yeah.
Now, you're part of the Tri-County, and I forget exactly what you said.
Yes. So the Tri-River Historical Network, we're a part of that. And then we're also a part of the Historical Society of Michigan, which is kind of on the same thing, but it's bigger. They have workshops and programs and networking days and weekend events that museums can go to, and you can meet other volunteers and other museum organizations, get ideas and that sort of thing. So we're a part of that also.
Yeah, fantastic.
The program that we did last year with Robert Myers, he came from there. So without having been a part of it, then we wouldn't know of him and be able to have him come and speak to us. So they have been really helpful, and they have different workshops as far, for doing records and transitioning stuff. They've had workshops on that. So they are very helpful for museums. So if there's any that are listening right now who aren't a part of the Historical Society of Michigan, I would say check them out. We're also a part of the Chamber of Commerce for Greenville, and they have been really amazing as far as different events that they hold for companies within the community and helping share different posts on Facebook and social media. So we're a part of that as well. We're also helping, it's not in our state, obviously, it's out of the country, but we're helping a group of guys over in France with restoring a glider. They contacted us last year to learn about measurements and any photographs we had, because they had actually been to our museum before when they were in America, which I thought was just amazing, because they showed me a picture that they had, and it had my grandpa's name on it. And I'm like, how did you get this photo? And they're like, because we went to your museum. And I'm like, oh my goodness, how insane is that someone from a whole nother country came to our small town?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've even mailed them extra glider parts that we had in storage to help with their glider. And they've been keeping us updated, and they are going to have an exhibit in August.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
What kinds of interesting books has your museum published?
So the museum itself really hasn't published any books, but I do know that my grandpa has written some books, and he made a ton of copies. So if anyone who comes to our museum that would like to learn about his time working at Gibson or his time in the war, they're able to donate some money to the museum and take one of his books home.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. You got real history there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. All right, folks, I'd like to provide listeners with the contact information for the museum. Their website is thefightingfalcon.com, and you can find them on Facebook at The Fighting Falcon. If you just look for that. Their address is 516 West Cass, C-A-S-S, Cass Street in Greenville, Michigan, 48838. And you can call them at 616-225-1940. All right. Now, what kind of things are available to do on your museum's website?
People are able to learn just the basic information about, how long we're open, what months we're available. They can also read stories on how the glider became the Fighting Falcon. They can learn how the museum building was once a school and the history behind that. And they're able to learn how Gibson refrigerator converted into making gliders. But they can also read about the members and how long they've been a part of the museum, and they're able to contact us with any questions that they have.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm sure it's something that you have to do constantly to keep it up to date. You mentioned PayPal earlier. What's the easiest method for listeners or the public to donate to the museum?
I would say probably the easiest would be to come in person, and you can bring your donation in while you visit the museum. Otherwise, you can give us a call or contact us through our website, and we can set up a day and a time. Just because we're only open on Sundays doesn't mean that we can't meet somebody, during the week if they have a donation. So we'll do our best to be able to get the donation when they're able to give it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Yep, everybody out there listening, it'd be great if you'd give a donation. Doesn't have to be much, just whatever you can afford. It'd be great. They can use it. Now, Megan, could you tell the audience about any current initiatives or needs of the museum that you want people of your area to know about and support?
I would probably just say spreading the word is the biggest thing that we need right now. I would love to be able to be a museum that's like the Grand Rapids Public Museum that we have, or, the Smithsonian, where it's super popular and everyone knows the name. It's crazy how just a simple click of a button on Facebook to share can reach hundreds of people. So I would probably say, just help spread the word, share the website or share a post that you see on our Facebook page.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. What are your thoughts about how best to keep history and community support flourishing for the current generation, the K through 12 kids?
That is a good question. More than ever, the newer generation is really internet based. They're very social media based. A lot of my little cousin has so much knowledge, and I've asked him before, I'm like, did you learn that in school? And he's like, no, I learned it on YouTube. I'm like, I didn't even know that. So I would probably say the best way would be to start doing things that spark the interest of young people, like creating videos and creating content that catches their eye and getting out there for social media to make it not only fun and catchy, but also educational, so that they're like, I want to learn more. I mean, I remember when I was younger, if I wanted to learn something, I rode my bike, to the library. I mean, I had a computer, but you would go to the library and you would do your research.
Yeah.
And that's just not how it is anymore. So I think by keeping it flourishing, there's a big need to have fun and catchy content.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fair. I noticed it too. Kids today, when I speak to young people, very young people even, they are so articulate and so knowledgeable. They're not like kids when I was growing up. Kids when I was growing up were fairly ignorant, I guess is the right word. They were kids, they were not world savvy. Today, kids are very, very intelligent. I mean, really intelligent. It surprises me how intelligent they are at such a young age.
And I think a lot of things like, TikTok, they're 1 to 2 minute videos, and you can get a lot of information out there than what we had, or at least what I had growing up.
Yeah.
So they're learning at a faster rate of stuff that we didn't have when we were younger.
Yeah. When I was growing up, you had to find a book or find somebody who knew something and trust them.
Yeah.
That was
there wasn't Google to make sure that they were telling the truth.
No. That was it. That was all.
Yeah.
Now, are you guys getting any funding by writing grants?
So, yes, we do write some grants. That is something that we have done before.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, my understanding just from talking with museum directors and so on is the more you write, even though you get rejected, the more you write, the better you get it's one of those things. It's sort of like trying to get a book published. The more you do, eventually you'll get one through, and then you'll learn the techniques. There's evidently a technique to it.
Yeah, I was given a book of how to write grants. So there's a technique to it, and you got to be able to master it. And once you master it, you're going to be doing pretty good.
I wonder if AI can help with that.
Oh, I'm sure it could. I mean, AI can almost, it feels like, do everything now. So I'm sure it would be able to write a grant.
Oh, yeah, that would be great, huh? Historical Society AI. Maybe they've got something like that. Or museum AI. I wonder if there's a museum association that has an AI that writes grants. Oh.
That would be something to look into.
Oh, yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be cool. And if there isn't, then I think you just hit a gold mine.
Yeah, that'd be way cool. All right. I want to tell you that it's time to take a break for a few minutes.
Okay.
All right, listeners, we'll be right back after these short messages.
Attention, all supporters of our brave servicemen and women. Are you looking for a way to make a difference and give back to those who've sacrificed so much for our freedom? Look no further than the Fighting Falcon Military Museum in Greenville, Michigan. The museum is a beacon of honor, preserving the stories and legacies of our nation's heroes for future generations. But they can't do it alone. They need your help to continue their mission of honoring, educating, and inspiring. Your generous donations keep their doors open and the exhibits thriving. Every dollar makes a difference in supporting the programs, maintaining their facilities, and expanding the collections. Visit them online at thefightingfalcon.com or connect with them on Facebook at The Fighting Falcon to learn more about how you can contribute. Together, we can ensure that the sacrifices of our military men and women are never forgotten. Whether it's a one-time donation or a recurring contribution, your support fuels the mission and honors the legacy of those who've served. Join them in making a difference today. The Fighting Falcon Military Museum, where every donation honors a hero. Thank you for your support. Located at 516 West Cass Street, Greenville, Michigan, 48838. Call them at 616-225-1940 to learn more about how you can support this worthwhile cause.
The Fighting Falcon Museum, right in the heart of Greenville, Michigan. It's worth a visit and your support.
9 out of 10 family historians agree Preservation Oaks is the best podcast on the internet.
Just a reminder about the military holidays we observe annually in these United States. Armed Forces Day is to acknowledge those still in uniform serving our nation. Veterans Day is for those who served and have hung up the uniform. We honor those who served. Memorial Day is for those who never made it out of their uniform. We reflect on those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Please teach your children to observe these days each year.
There are many things in the history of this country that you have never seen nor heard. Introducing Preservation Oaks, with new unique episodes featuring professional guests from across the country, telling unique true tales of the past that only they know. This podcast will bring you incredible knowledge and an appreciation of every area of our country. You'll hear history, with a clarity and vividness that until now were only in your fantasies. The Preservation Oaks Podcast. It will alter your view of the world. Listen at preservationoaks.podbean.com.
Happy little wash day song for a wash that's whiter and brighter than new. Rinso washes, Rinso new. Rinso white, whiter than new. Rinso bright, brighter than new. Rinso white, Rinso bright, Rinso new.
Rinso new. It's an amazing fact. 1950 Rinso with Solium gets white clothes whiter, washable colors brighter than new. Rinso new. Even on rainy days, Rinso puts sunshine in your wash. No other soap can make your wash so white, so bright, because no other soap contains the scientific sunlight ingredient, Solium. 1950 Rinso gets out more dirt. Yes, gets out more dirt than any other type of wash day product. And yet Rinso is so safe for clothes, so kind to your hands. Get Rinso today. See your wash become whiter, brighter than new.
Rinso white, Rinso bright,
Rinso new.
happy little wash day song.
And now, back to Preservation Oaks.
Hey everybody, it's Megan from the Fighting Falcon Military Museum in Greenville, Michigan, and Sean Radcliff, your host at Preservation Oaks. We're going to pick up where we left off. Welcome back, everyone.
All right. Thanks, Megan.
Yeah, not a problem.
Hey, Megan, why is the museum important to the community, and what makes your organization different or unique from others?
I think that what makes us different is the fact that our museum has been built solely around the community members. We keep their stories alive, and not many family members have a display at a museum. And so I think it's pretty unique thing. And I think the Greenville community feels the same way. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here to celebrate our 20th anniversary.
Yep, makes sense. Thank you. What would the priorities and goals be if the museum had enough money and volunteers and didn't have to worry about those things? How would things be different?
I would say if money wasn't an issue, we would probably do some updates to make more elaborate displays. Like in our World War II room, we have an encased floor-to-ceiling display where you can look inside of what the trenches were like. And we would like to be able to do more stuff like that, create more elaborate displays.
Yeah, if you've got a trench display, that's pretty cool. I didn't think of that. That's really cool.
Yeah, the trench is pretty cool. There's some soldiers in it, and then there's also the guns and some ammo, and it gives you a feel of what it was like back then.
Wow, I'd love to visit your museum. I may fly to Michigan.
You should. You definitely should. You could spend the day in Greenville, and we could take you around on a private tour.
I've been through Greenville on my favorite map app, and it's just a beautiful town.
I didn't even think to do something like that.
Oh,
that would
yeah.
be...
I do that for every episode. I go through the whole town.
Very cool.
And look around. It's just beautiful in Greenville.
It really is.
Yeah. Megan, I've been asking my guests this question because I want to do an episode just on this topic, and I'm trying to get feedback from professionals like you. What do you think the world will look like in 100 years?
Ooh, flying cars in every home. Boy, that's going to be a really good episode. What will the world look like in 100 years? Well, I think I'm still thinking that we're going to have flying cars, but I think that from a museum standpoint, I think you're going to see a lot of historical notes and artifacts and pictures. I think that's all going to be digitized. I don't think, obviously, libraries are always going to be around, but I think you're going to find a lot of archives and a lot of things to research that have been around for forever. I think that's all going to be online. And I think you're going to see a lot more interactive displays that the public can use. As far as what it looks like in 100 years from a personal aspect, I think you're going to see a lot more solar and a lot more wind power. Yeah, I am a little lost for words, but I would love to listen to that episode and hear what everyone has to say, because I'm just not really sure what it would look like in 100 years.
I'm planning it now, so look for it coming up here probably a month or so, because it takes a long time to research.
Can you give us a little insight of what some people have said?
Well, there's all kinds of things going on today. We've got quantum entanglement going on in research there on teleportation of humans. We've got fusion power, and that's coming online. We've got quantum computing. We've got medical science research. We've got SpaceX and, the potential of colonization of other planets. We've got food engineering going on where they're able now, right now there's 2 companies doing it, where they're able to take cells from like a chicken and make meat. And they're actually making beef and chicken just from the cells of animals without killing an animal. And
that is crazy.
Yeah, it's called cellular agriculture. Believe it or not, I was shocked. And then artificial intelligence, robotics, and then there's a whole number of different technologies that are just starting to come online that are just fantastic. So, I'm trying to track down, where are these technologies going to be in 100 years and what's the world going to look like? I'm pretty sure that you and I and the language that we are used to and what we use today, we wouldn't even understand the people in 100 years when they talk.
Right. I mean, that's kind of like when people nowadays reading cursive and not understanding, it's obviously a smaller scale, but not understanding what was written.
Yeah.
But with having brought up robots, I'm going to add that to my answer as well. I think there's probably going to be a robot in every home, whether it's, a small little thing like a Roomba that's more technologically advanced or something out of the movie iRobot. I think that one will be in every home.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I can't wait.
Hey, if it can fold my laundry, I might have to consider
Absolutely. Think about
getting
that.
one.
You go to your cell phone or whatever device and you create a schedule for it doing the laundry, and you create a schedule for it taking out the garbage cans and, everything else.
Yeah, that would be very nice. And then I could dedicate my time to something else.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Is there any other information or message you'd like the community or members to know about?
I would just say that, learning people's stories helps us understand our past, and it can prepare us for our future. And, we learn things in textbooks, but things really come alive when you can learn from people who were there and read what they have done, specifically, if these people have ties to your city or your state. And I would just say that is our goal. That our goal is to help history come alive for people.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And especially in those times of military engagement, and hopefully we never have that kind of a war again. But those are very charged, emotional times when there's a war, when there's a world war, people are dying and people are against each other, hurting each other. And it's just a part of our history of mankind so far. And I'm glad you're there telling the stories.
Thank you. Yes. Like I said, I feel like it's where I need to be.
Reflecting just a bit, how do you think your members, volunteers, and the community view you and the museum in terms of benefit and value?
I would think that the community sees value in our effort to preserve the people who fought for our freedom, especially because Greenville is such a tight-knit community. And that's what our museum is about. It's about the community. And by doing what we do, we're also helping preserve a part of Greenville for future generations.
Yeah, absolutely. Greenville was there and they stepped up when they needed to step up, and that's a rich history. Megan, I want to thank you a bunch for hanging out with me today. I've had a blast and learned a lot. Greenville, Michigan and the Fighting Falcon Military Museum are awesome. It's seriously inspiring to see all the cool stuff you and your museum have on display and the things that you all do in the community. And I truly appreciate you being here.
Yeah, I want to thank you so much for having me on and contacting us and letting me talk about the museum and getting our name out there. We really appreciate it.
And with that, we'll end our time with our guest, Mrs. Megan Smith. Listeners, please stay tuned for my comments and wrap-up, which is coming up next. And now let's wrap up our Independence Day episode. Happy Independence Day, everybody. As we celebrate the birth of our nation, let's take a moment to reflect on the freedoms and liberties that make America truly exceptional. God bless America. Today, we had the immense pleasure of speaking with Mrs. Megan Smith, the fundraising and social media leader for the Fighting Falcon Military Museum. Megan's dedication and passion for preserving the military heritage of Greenville, Michigan truly shone through in our conversation. As someone deeply rooted in both the history of the museum and the community, Megan's insights were invaluable. Megan's background with the museum from its beginnings to its current state, combined with her expertise in both social media and fundraising, has been instrumental in bringing attention to this important local institution. It's clear that Megan is not just intelligent and knowledgeable, but also incredibly capable. Through her efforts, she has helped us all understand how the museum plays a vital role in preserving and protecting the rich heritage of Greenville for its residents and future generations. I can confidently say that the Fighting Falcon Military Museum is more than just a collection of artifacts. It's a living testament to our military heritage, and it's the heart of Greenville. This museum stands as a tribute to the brave men and women who have served and the community that supported them. It was fascinating to learn about Megan's personal connection to American history. She's a descendant of George Reed from Delaware, a founding father who signed both the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution. Megan's family treasures include her ancestor's sword and a boot spur, linking her directly to the storied past of our nation. How remarkable it is to have such a tangible connection to the history we celebrate today. Greenville's story is a microcosm of the American spirit. Founded by John Green in 1844, this town blossomed with the establishment of a sawmill and the influx of settlers, particularly Danish immigrants. Greenville continues to honor this heritage with its annual Danish festival and an abundance of cultural events throughout the year. During World War II, the residents of Greenville made incredible contributions to the war effort. The Gibson Refrigerator Company produced gliders, propellers, bombs, and more. Today, examples of this equipment are proudly on display at the Fighting Falcon Military Museum, serving as a testament to the town's industrious spirit and its significant role in supporting the war. Megan beautifully captured this spirit when she said, "You know, you look at small towns and might say, oh, there's probably history there. But then you look at Greenville and the huge impact it's had throughout the world. It's pretty amazing." Her words remind us that every community has stories of profound impact and contributions that deserve to be remembered and celebrated. One of the museum's most captivating stories is that of the original Fighting Falcon, the only World War II glider named by the War Department. It, along with 3 other gliders, were funded by the schoolchildren of Greenville, who sold war bonds to support the war. Their efforts were recognized with a Distinguished Service Award from the U.S. Treasury Department. How inspiring is that? In 1984, the town embarked on a mission to restore an original World War II glider, a project that took over 10 years to complete. The museum was established in 2004 to proudly display the restored Fighting Falcon II glider. This restored glider is one of the few in the world, and it's a poignant reminder of Greenville's enduring legacy. Greenville exemplifies the crucial role that towns across America and Michigan played in supporting World War II. This town has a proud heritage of citizen soldiers who dedicated themselves to winning the war. Their sacrifices and contributions are preserved and honored at the museum. One of the more unusual artifacts at the museum is a piece of Adolf Hitler's countertop brought back by a Greenville soldier after the war. It's a small but striking example of the diverse and deeply personal stories contained within the museum's walls. Looking ahead, the Fighting Falcon Military Museum will celebrate its 20th anniversary on August 21, 2024. As part of the festivities, the museum will hold a ribbon-cutting ceremony for its new memorial flag display, which features flags for each branch of the U.S. military, beautifully illuminated throughout the night. It's a fitting tribute to our armed forces and another reason to visit the museum. The museum offers a comprehensive look at America's military history with sections dedicated to each major conflict, from the Civil War to the World Wars, the Korean and Vietnam Wars, and even the Spanish-American War. Each exhibit includes uniforms, artifacts, weapons, photographs, soldier stories, and dioramas depicting various aspects of warfare. The museum's rotating exhibits ensure there's always something new to see. Among the museum's many treasures are some particularly standout pieces: a 49-star flag from the Spanish-American War era, Civil War cannonballs, a beautiful World War I Christie War poster, and even a fragment of the Berlin Wall. These artifacts offer visitors a tangible connection to pivotal moments in history. The museum operates solely on donations from the public, without any state, county, or federal funding. This makes your support crucial. Whether it's through visiting the museum, attending their annual fundraising golf outing, or making a direct donation, every bit helps keep this vital place of Greenville's heritage alive. Donations can be made easily via their PayPal account, and they also accept credit cards. Please visit the museum's website and contact them directly for more information on how you can contribute. The museum is in the process of digitizing and cataloging all of its artifacts, a monumental task that requires a lot of time and effort. They have already digitized several hundred artifacts, but are always in need of volunteers. If you have a love for history and some spare time, the museum would greatly appreciate your help. It's a wonderful opportunity to learn and contribute to preserving our shared history. Currently, the museum is open every Sunday during the summer, with plans to expand to Saturdays as well if community support continues to grow. This gives everyone even more opportunities to explore the rich history housed within its walls. The Fighting Falcon Military Museum is also fostering international connections. They're assisting a team in France that is restoring another World War II glider. This collaborative effort highlights the global impact and ongoing legacy of the stories preserved in Greenville. We encourage everyone to spread the word about the Fighting Falcon Military Museum. Follow their Facebook page, share their posts, and bring your friends and family to visit. The museum's uniqueness lies in its focus on the people of Greenville and their military experiences, making it a vital part of the community's identity. If funding were no issue, the museum could expand and enhance its exhibits even further, creating more elaborate displays to captivate and educate visitors. Your support can help make these dreams a reality. Thank you once again to our guest, Mrs. Megan Smith, for sharing her knowledge and passion with us today. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey through Greenville's remarkable history and contributions. Let's continue to honor and remember the sacrifices made by those who served, and keep the spirit of Independence Day alive all year round. Now, one last time, here's the contact information. Their website is thefightingfalcon.com. You can find them on Facebook at The Fighting Falcon. Physically, they're located at 516 West Cass Street, Greenville, Michigan, 48838. And you can phone them at 616-225-1940. If questions occur to you and you'd like more information, please connect with the museum via the contact information provided. If you're a listener in the area the museum serves and you're not already a member, please consider joining and supporting them. I hope this information helps the audience understand how valuable the museum is to the community and what kinds of excellent services they have to offer to their members and the public. The Fighting Falcon Military Museum is truly one of our preservation oaks. All right, that's a wrap for this episode. Music used today is from Cymbalbird, Music to Noise, Simon Lang, Orchestrales, Floru's Music, Crazy Tunes, Freedom Trails Studio, Score Wizards, Studio Etude, I Broccoli, and Scott Holmes. Microstream Radio is a registered trademark. You can visit us at www.microstreamradio.com. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted by Microstream Radio. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere without the written permission of Microstream Radio. Thanks to everyone for listening. We look forward to bringing you more inspiring stories in our upcoming episodes. This is Sean Radcliff. We'll see you all next time on Preservation Oaks, and until then, keep on giving and keep on living the good life.